It's Leviosa.
Hey guys, welcome back to another live stream. This is the DCTV show, episode 90. We are here with Pagey.
90? I didn't realize it was on a
90.
monumental episode. Did not realize that.
Monumental and a half. Today we're going to be talking about the Flash movie or film. Obviously the trailer came out the other day. We have some new photos of like Michael Keaton in the film. And then also we have the Flash movie character posters that we're going to be breaking down. Plus we're going to talk about the Flash season 9 episode 2. Obviously that comes out Wednesday night. It's Tuesday night right now, so it's like pretty much like 24 hours away plus a couple of hours. And also we have a new synopsis for episode 4, and we have photos for episode 4 as well. So we're going to be breaking that down with Pagey in this live stream. So how are you doing today? Did you watch the Bayern Munich PSG match, or do you not care?
No. I didn't even watch any Champions League. I wonder what the scores are.
Milan beat Tottenham. Wait, I didn't check that.
Milan beat Tottenham 1-0 and Bayern won 1-0 with a red card.
Yeah, I was watching the Bayern match because I support Bayern. I love Bayern, even though I'm an Arsenal supporter. But you know, if we're talking Germany,
shady.
Oh yeah, it's a good game. I was just watching it before here. I'm actually going to Germany tomorrow. That's why the stream is on a Tuesday today, guys. But starting from next week, we're going to be doing the live streams on Wednesdays. So it's going to be Wednesday night, 9 p.m. UK time. So that's roughly in America. That is, I believe, 5 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So that's what we're going to be doing. And yeah, so without further ado, I want to remind you guys, if you want to support the channel and send in any questions throughout this live stream, please be sure to send in super chats, and me and Pagey are going to be answering them throughout this live stream. Obviously, we have our main topics, but we'll get to everything when we get to them. So, all right, let's talk about. Actually, we have a super chat first, and then we'll get into our main topic. So, Atlantic Ocean sends in a 1999 super chat. Thank you very much, Atlantic. I really appreciate it. Atlantic says, absolutely love the trailer. Sasha is incredible as Supergirl. However, I am concerned about something. In all the past DC films, Henry Cavill Superman was so powerful, and I hope in this film, her Supergirl will be exactly the same. Will she, though? So first off, Pagey, what do you think about Supergirl in the trailer and what we've seen so far?
Well, it's hard to get a grip on how powerful she would be, considering she probably have limited things with the sun, and we don't know if she had like interactions with the sun before she was locked up. But we don't know exactly how that played out, because I think it is like Zod's so powerful because it's like a really like a complete, like he's fully developed and then he gets that sun, so he ends up being very powerful straight away. But she might have had exposure to it when she was younger, and then maybe she was put in there when she was like 12 years old or something like that. So she would have already had started developing powers, like we saw with Clark and Man of Steel. Yeah, but then she's put into the thing where she starts to degrade and not, you know, be starved, if you want to call it. So I think it probably depends on that in regards to how powerful she should be. If she's been locked up there the entire time, she should be like Zod when she comes out. But if she's was exposed and then locked up, then she might not be as strong straight out of the gate. Yeah,
because
but also I don't think they want to make her too powerful, because it's also a Flash movie. It's not a Supergirl movie.
Yeah, she's not the main character. She's like, you know, in the top kind of 3 or 4 characters if you include both Barry's and Batman. But yeah, you're right. If she has been exposed to the yellow sun radiation this whole time, she just needs to gain her strength back, and somehow they've made her malnourished. And I mean, you see her in the trailer, but you see her literal spine. She looks like the Joker.
Well, yeah, she looks like some like weird, like just like skin and bones, pretty much, like nothing going on. So I'm assuming that when she gets the sun, you see like the muscles almost like grow on her.
Yeah, like she's expand to the Supergirl that we see later in the trailer, because once she gets properly exposed, and I guess at one point she's probably gonna fly up to the sun Like that's going to be the moment where you see them, where you see Supergirl actually become powerful again. So yeah, I think from the trailer, what I've seen, I mean, they show us a bit. And actually, did you watch the TV spot? Because that came out after online.
Yeah, like it had most of the same shots, but then it had some like it was like half the same, half new. Like
yeah, and then you have that Supergirl screaming, "What did you do?" I presume to Zod, right?
I think he probably says. I reckon that's when he says that he killed her cousin or something like that.
Right,
he killed Clark or Kal-El.
Yeah, because that's an extremely strong reaction. Like she is losing it at that moment,
and she's like floating. It looks like she's floating when she's saying it. So
yeah, it looks like a similar scene to what you see in that trailer, which was another shot of Supergirl facing off against Zod. So yeah, Atlantic, we agree. She was pretty cool in the trailer. And in regards to how powerful she is, personally, like Pagey said, I don't think she's going to be super powerful. I think she's just regaining her powers. She hasn't been at this for a long time. Like, I don't think she was a superhero before this at all, because I'm pretty sure she landed in the Soviet Union or Russia or whatever, and she's been captured this whole time, even if she's been soaking up that radiation.
Or it could be something where she was like, it's very similar, like she was maybe on some sort of Russian residence or whatever it is, and then the government found out about her.
Yeah. So it
like,
depends,
tracked it down.
You know, if she was actually free at any point. But yeah, thank you very much for the super chat, Atlantic Ocean. I appreciate the support towards the channel. All right, let's move on to our main topic. Well, kind of still on topic, but the Flash movie trailer. Let's talk about this first. So yeah, overall, really good trailers, I would say. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Like I was expecting the trailer to be good anyway, because I thought this movie was going to be very good. So it didn't shock me as much as like other people, you know, going, "Oh my god, I can't believe this movie actually looks that good," because I was like, well, everything that came out about it sounded really good. Before the trailer came out. But it's more one of those like relief things. Like you can think something's going to be good, but like until you actually see that and you almost get that confirmation, that bit of like, whew, okay, I can relax now, that relief. You can't really be confident until that happens. So yeah, like I haven't rewatched it since then. Like I've seen like little things, like stuff on Twitter, but like I rewatched it on the Twitch stream, and then pretty much when I was like editing stuff, that's about it. I haven't gone back and rewatched it. But I might go see. Well, if I go to the movies, I guess it's anything that's.
I guess it'll be on in the cinema, yeah.
Well, apparently in America, like with Ant-Man, they're going to be playing it with Ant-Man. That comes out. Well, it's out today in Australia, but it'll be out like I guess tomorrow or something in America. So I think they're playing that trailer and a bunch of those Super Bowl trailers with Ant-Man. But you'd have to think the Flash would be there. Warner Brothers would surely buy space there.
Yeah.
And that'd be good to see like in a full theater, like people not expecting to see Michael Keaton's Batman shot. I mean, like what the hell?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to see it in the cinema too. So I'm actually going to the Berlin Film Festival tomorrow. That's actually why I am streaming today. And so I'm really hoping, like I'm watching films the whole time, but I'm probably going to go see Ant-Man. And I really hope that they show it before, because...
What's Ant-Man in German? Ant-Man.
I don't know. I actually haven't seen the German translation, but...
The Ant-Man.
It's just Ant-Man.
Is it Ant-Man?
Yeah.
What about Quantumania? Does that translate in German?
I don't think it's even an English word. Yeah, no, it says Ant-Man. That's literally it. But anyway, so yeah, I watched the trailer like I honestly think about 20 times. Like I was just actually not the full trailer. I was watching the TV spot because I thought the TV spot was really good and it's short. And I was kind of just like on the train. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just rewatch this.
Yeah.
You know, I really liked that moment with Supergirl when she's screaming. And also the editing, the sound just sounded really good.
Yeah.
Along with the score. So anyway, let's talk about something specific in the trailer, because there is actually that moment I mentioned on the Twitch stream the other day. And for those of you guys who weren't there, we were live on Pagey's Twitch with Eric just before the Flash trailer, and we reacted live. And there was that moment in the trailer where we had one of the Flashes pretty much like fly kicking someone else, right? and that person was in like a tornado, and you couldn't really see what was going on. But I've seen other people talk about it since. Are you thinking that was Dark Flash? I'm still thinking.
No.
You
The more I
think...
look at it, the more because there's a gun there. Why would there be a random gun floating off when the tornado's happening? If it's like stuck, and the more it looks like it's either one of those soldiers that like one of those Russian soldiers that's there on that field, or it's one of Zod's people.
Okay, and
like I've seen people saying that like it's Dark Flash, but I'm like, I think it's only Dark Flash when you're watching it. As soon as you start to break it down and go bit by bit, you're like, oh, that's not Dark Flash. It doesn't, because it's like a helmet. You can see there's like a helmet there. And Dark Flash would be like completely CG.
Yeah.
Like VFX and stuff.
I'm trying to find it. Do you remember where it was?
It's like in the back third. Did you see like Ben Affleck's Batman? Yeah. I think it's only because there's lightning. But I'm like, the lightning's there because of the tornado. And we see the other Barry make the tornado.
Yeah, so he could have just chucked the tornado at the soldier or something.
You can see the gun there on the left of the tornado.
There, up in the air, yeah. Why would Dark Flash have a gun? That's
so true. That guy was holding the gun. Like, what's Dark Flash? Like, why does he need a gun? So,
okay, fairly sure then. I didn't see that.
It's either a Zod soldier or one of those Russian soldiers that was trying to get into the facility, and then they're a part of this battle for whatever reason that might be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But it's interesting that they haven't shown us Dark Flash yet, considering he is supposed to be the replacement for Reverse.
I'm not that surprised because it's the first trailer.
Okay, so you think the next trailer they're going to show?
Yeah, next trailer I think next trailer they'll focus more on the whole time travel aspect, and they'll probably hint at Dark Flash, or Barry might reference that of Dark Flash, or there might be a reference to what it is. There might be like a reveal of just like an evil speedster, but they might not give too much context to it. So I think in the next trailer, whenever that is, I guess like 2 months from now, 3 months from now, whenever they want to do it.
Yeah,
they'll probably do
April, May, sometime.
Well, I don't know. When are the NBA finals?
They love pairing with.
Late May, Well, actually, the NBA finals are in late May a lot of the time, and early June. So I don't think it'll be that late, but it could be in like maybe some of the previous stuff that they might do it.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I see that Tom in the chat has been a member for 19 months. Thank you very much. He says Ben, and oh hey Pagey, yes. And then Owlwatch has been a member for 9 months as well. Thank you very much, Owlwatch. Flash Freak upgraded his membership to Super Legendary Friend. Thank you very much, Flash Freak, for supporting the channel and being a member. And we have a super chat from Kenneth. Kenneth says, hey guys, question. Do you think we'll see Grant Gustin's Flash, John Wesley Shipp's Flash, and the Reeve/Ralph Superman in the Flash movie? Oh my god, that is a lot, Kenneth. So let's break this down. First off, Grant's Flash. What do you think's the chances right now?
Oh, probably like 50-50, I'd say. Yeah, 50-50, I'd say.
Yeah, because there's always the chance that they were able to film on a green screen, even if he wasn't near the set. He could have filmed it in Vancouver and just sent over.
Well, no, they did pick up shoots in LA during when the Flash was off season. It was in like
there you go.
Was it like June or July last year or something?
Yeah,
and then like it was a month later, there was that stuff where Ben Affleck was doing like Aquaman stuff. And Momoa posted the video of him and Ben Affleck. Yeah, but like a month before that, they did Flash pickups, and apparently they've been doing many Flash pickups here and there since that point because they've had to work around Ezra. Yeah, all that stuff that's been going on. So Grant could have easily done something there if they wanted to, and they would have been planning that because during COVID, it's like, well, he's not going to get here while we're filming in London. What's the place? Leavesden.
Yeah, no, he was in London. I saw Ezra in real life.
No, but I mean like Leavesden is where the studio is. Like, is that the actual?
Yeah. And then they filmed. I think they filmed.
It's in Watford, isn't it? Actually, isn't it? Isn't Leavesden in Watford? Yeah.
And then they went up to Glasgow afterwards for obviously on location shoots.
But that was the Gotham one. That's the stuff you see in the trailer.
But yeah, so there was no way that he was actually going to come over during the actual shoot. So you're right. I think that time in LA could be our spot. So I agree, 50-50 right now. John Wesley Shipp's Flash. Oh, I think that's way less.
I think like I think Routh is a 0. I'd say Routh is a 0%.
Yeah.
John Wesley Shipp maybe like 10%.
Yeah.
I'd say Christopher Reeve Superman is probably like an 80, 90%, even though he's obviously dead. Well, there's rumors that they used the big rumor that apparently was in one of the test screenings was that there was a CGI Christopher Reeve, CGI Adam West, and then like a de-aged Linda Carter. However, that could have been
he's running back in time, like we saw
when he's running through the multiverse, like when they run. But that could have been fill-in. You don't know if that was fill-in. Because nowadays you can do like all that stuff pretty easily. So that could have been fill-in for when they do the pickups and they actually add other stuff in there.
Yeah.
So like I think it's really weird how this. I know it might come up, but like how this is rumored like end credit scene where he goes and he sees another Batman. Wouldn't it make more sense that he runs back and that's where Grant shows up in an end credit thing?
He's another Flash. It's the Flash.
Like I was thinking that it's like, why did people want that? Like everyone, like you want something like what George Clooney? Like I thought everyone hated him as Batman, but wouldn't a cooler scene be going and seeing like doing like a crisis connection? Like to me, that seems like the obvious one that people would want. That seems really cool and would actually have some sort of like not like a blink and you'll miss it thing, which I think it would be if you run through the multiverse. Yeah. I don't know. To me, that seems like the easier and simple choice, but maybe I'm the idiot. I have no idea.
No, I agree because this fundamentally is a Flash film, and I've noticed this actually since the trailer came out. People are obsessing over Batman in this film. I mean, it's cool that Michael Keaton's in it and you're still Ben Affleck, but it's a Flash film, so why not have Grant in it? I feel like that's more important.
Yeah, well, I've always I think this is the thing is that Batman's a pretty simple superhero.
Yeah,
and like most people, for the general fans, they're going to more attach to that simple one. Like the Flash is a bit more like I always equate like Flash with like someone like Green Lantern or something like that. Like usually if like someone's pretty online with that, then those are the characters you like. But they're both pretty like people know them, like they know the names, but they don't know them. Like they don't know that you know a lot. That like if you ask someone casually who Batman is, like oh it's Bruce Wayne. Or who's Superman? Oh it's Clark Kent. But if you say the Flash, they'll be like oh the Flash. Like Green Lantern, don't know. Like, I have no idea.
Flash, I think that was
especially because of the mantle stuff as well. How multiple people being the Flash, multiple people being Green Lantern. So I think it might just come down to the fact of like name and familiarity and stuff like that. But to me, it seems like the most obvious end credit thing if they're going to do something or end scene is Ezra meeting Grant again.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a little thing, it's like, oh, thanks for the name or whatever it was. It worked. It sounds good. People are buying it.
And they can have two credit scenes, one mid, one post credits. You can.
I don't know. That's the thing I'm curious about is how much they put at the end if there is end and mid credit stuff because apparently it seems like nothing's really happening here. The only thing I can think of is that there's like a mid credit one is attached to some fun Flash thing, and then James Gunn maybe put something right at the end which teases his reboot. Maybe it's about like a news report about like Superman emerging in Metropolis, something like that. But he might even not want to do that.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But there's always the chance that James Gunn, now being in control, like he said, this is going to reset the DC universe. In one of those reshoot days, they could be doing something in line with what he plans. So yeah, I believe that. All right, we have another super chat from Clan Rocks this time. Thank you very much, Clan, for sending the $9.99 super chat. Clan says the scene where Supergirl tells Barry her name is Kara was cool. Do you think she gets time to heal / regain her strength at Wayne Manor before Zod and the Flash, I guess, help before Zod and help her become Supergirl? I don't know what's happening. Sorry about my reading. What do you think about this in terms of like her regeneration, I guess?
Well, I guess you get a lot of it in Russia. I mean, there's not many clouds. In that scene, it would seem like it was very blue sky. But I'd assume so. And I think there's even something in the trailer where it looks like it's her and the other Barry on the roof. But then again, that might be the same scene where she's lifting Barry into the sky. When she's holding him and taking him out to the clouds.
My question about that is, why is she bringing Barry into the sky? Just because he's...
I think they're doing it to play on the Flashpoint thing. So I think in the trailer, you see that bit where you have like our Barry, the main Barry, standing there, and the lightning goes through his chest and hits the other one. So I think that means the other guy gets speedster powers, but our Barry is like messed up because of it.
Yeah.
And then it plays off whether he completely loses it, or his powers are damaged and not fully powered, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or he's maybe even just killed or like
Mhm.
knocked out, which is sort of like the Flashpoint thing. Remember, he gets wrapped in bandages.
Yeah,
He's like
yeah.
horribly burnt. It could be something like that. And then maybe what they do is that Supergirl carries him into the clouds, and maybe he's covered in all the liquid and stuff,
And he gets
the
struck by
chemicals,
lightning up
to
there.
get him struck by pure lightning.
Yeah.
From the actual
Okay, that
cloud.
makes sense now that you say that.
Something like that, just to play off the Flashpoint comic, but be different at the same time.
Yeah, we'll get into Flashpoint in just a moment because that's my next question. But just to answer Clamrox's super chat properly, I reckon, well, we see her breaking out with Batman and the Flash, like you just said, and she seems pretty powerful. However, she is still in her, uniform, her prison uniform. And so we do see her later in that scene that you actually mentioned in your super chat, where Kara tells her name to Barry, and Barry, that looked like it was in Wayne Manor, as far as I could tell. And so, yeah, she's definitely going to have time to regenerate her powers before facing off against Zod. But obviously, they have a lot to do in regards to both Barry and Barry, especially if, like Paige said, we go off of what they do in Flashpoint and try and regain the powers. But yeah, so thank you very much for the super chat, Clanbrocks, and anyone else that has any super chats you want to send in. If you have any questions, please be sure to send them in and we'll answer them. But let's move on to the next thing in regards to the Flash trailer. You mentioned this just now, but let's talk about Flashpoint, right? So from what we see in the trailer and what we've been told, how do you think it's going to be differing? And are you happy with the way it seems to be going?
I think it's going to be where, like, Barry obviously goes back to try and save his mum.
Mm-hmm.
But I think instead of going back to the present, he just gets knocked into another timeline.
Yeah, so he knocked into 2013 or something.
Just into another timeline on his way back through the time stream. So let's say this is like 2000, and I think it's 2001 is when his mum dies in the DCU.
Yeah, and
there's, I guess let's just say 2022 or whatever it is. So when he goes back to 2001, saves his mum, I guess, or prevents whatever would lead to her dying. And then on his way back to the time stream, he gets knocked out to 2013 in another timeline, like a parallel timeline, where things are somewhat similar, but like his parents are alive, so he grows up a different life, and it's obviously the Keaton universe as well, from 1989, 1992 movies.
Yeah, so he starts realizing things are not what they seem, or how they used to be, I mean.
Yeah, stuff like that. And like he maybe just sees like things that's like, because what's the thing in the trailers is like time moves in a weird way. It's like time moves. Like, what was the quote? I got it somewhere here.
Yeah, if you can find that, that's nearer to the start of the trailer.
Time has a pattern that it can't help reliving. So it's like things can move. I think he's under the belief that, I guess that, I'm not too sure if it's like he believes that in this timeline his mum might die as well, and it's about saving that, and that's why. Because I'm not too sure if he plans on giving this other Barry speed, or it's an accident. I'm not too sure. That's the only thing I'm confused about in the actual film, based off the trailer, because it looks like it could be an accident, but at the same time, because why would he have to jump in front of that lightning? Because it looks like they're in the lab and they've gone back to the time when he was...
I don't know. Maybe because that other version of Barry has never had powers before. And
well, I think he was meant to
go through a speedster. I don't know.
Well, I just think he was never in this timeline. He just was never meant to get powers, and I think that's the mistake. So I think he makes one mistake in trying to go back and save his mum. Then he makes another mistake in giving this other Barry powers that was never meant to have them.
Because he did a Harrison Wells. Like Barry got his powers too early, right?
Yeah, but he was able to manipulate the timeline to make stuff all play out and not, fold in on each other. Like he lined up really well. While this Barry appears to have potentially just done it by accident. While Harrison Wells in the show was really orchestrated and planned out really well.
So you think in that scene when one of the Barrys has the lightning through him going to the other one, you think they are recreating the accident?
Well, no, I don't know, because I think he knows the date that's meant to happen. So that's why he's there, because this Barry at this age clearly is not a forensic scientist.
No.
He hasn't gone down that path. But Barry at this age was doing that. He was like, at Central City University or Central City College, whatever they call it, and doing that stuff. So he was in that lab where all this accident happened, and that's why they go there. So I don't know what the context is, where I don't know if they went there to connect things or it was to give this new Barry speed, but at the same time, why does he have to jump in front of the lightning?
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't have to. The guy should be able to get hit by lightning and just be like when he got hit and just got the powers. So that's the only thing I'm confused about.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. Nathan has a theory in the chat. He says, what if this Flashpoint Barry isn't Barry at all, but Thorne, realizing having lost his powers thanks to the timeline changes, once again his powers thanks to Batman and Barry, he remembers who he really is and becomes Dark Flash or Evil Flash, whatever name they're given the villain. What do you think? What do you think about Dark Flash? Like,
So what's that? Is that saying that they think that Thorne is the Barry in disguise?
Flashpoint's Barry isn't Barry at all. Yeah, so he's saying if Flashpoint Barry, so the Barry, young Barry, yeah. What if that Barry isn't Barry at all, but Thorne hiding? I don't know. I think that's a bit too tricky.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't do that. And then Dark Flash, you just wouldn't. I don't think there's Reverse Flash in this movie at all, outside of little hints. Like there might be a little tease, but even then, I think it's all going to be like. I think that's the mystery. I think that's the mystery still at the end of this film, because obviously at the end of it, Barry's going to have to not just let his mum die. Yeah, he's just going to have to let his mum die because that's just a thing in the timeline that's important to his continuation. So he's just going to have to undo whatever he did, whether it was I don't know what he does, whatever he does to stop his mum from dying. He has to just undo that, let it happen, and I think that's where then it continues into probably a sequel that's not going to happen, which is very disappointing. So now in retrospect, looking at this movie, you wish you had a Reverse Flash, because back then there wasn't this reboot happening, and they're probably thinking that Reverse Flash will happen in the next movie, and they could do a tease. So, but now it seems like they can't do that, and you can't just shove Reverse Flash in this movie now because they made Dark Flash.
You already have a villain, so what's the point? So I'm not entirely sure, Nathan. Like, I understand your theory, and it could happen. However, I think that's a bit too complicated for what they're going to do in this film.
It sounds a bit too convoluted, and it sounds like it's going to have to be like, oh, here's 5 minutes of us explaining why this is the case and not letting it happen.
But I don't think we need a flashback of him doing surgery or whatever, So, but thanks for the theory, Nathan. All right. So, we talked about how Flashpoint is different, and I'm looking forward to seeing the changes they make. It's interesting that with the Supergirl aspect of the angle, they've actually kind of paired Red Sun with Flashpoint, because normally, isn't it in the Flashpoint comics, Superman is captured by the US government rather than...
Yeah, he crashes in Metropolis instead of in Smallville. And he causes a big accident. There's a big crater in the middle of Metropolis, and that's why they see him as a threat. And he gets locked up.
So they've obviously gone with this. I mean, I don't know when she landed, so I don't know if it's Russia, Soviet Union, or whatever, but same place. And that's the twist they're going for. But also the other twist is it's Supergirl, not Superman. And then obviously when Zod comes into the picture, it's going to be Zod versus Supergirl instead of Zod versus Superman, which is going to make Man of Steel fans mad. I don't know. I just feel like they're going to go on and on about it. Oh, Supergirl is too powerful. If Supergirl defeats Zod. Do you think they're actually going to defeat Zod, or is Barry going to change the timeline before the ending?
No, they'll probably defeat him. I'd assume so, because he probably doesn't want to leave this timeline screwed over and taken over by aliens. Because I'm pretty sure they're just going to do what they did in Man of Steel, do the new Krypton thing, but just, I guess, different.
They're in a different location. They're in a desert or something.
Well, it's in that desert where Superman gives himself up in Man of Steel. Remember, he floats down. So all the army's there in Man of Steel, but Superman gives himself up to Zod. But in this movie, there's no one to give up. So the battle just starts between them. And Supergirl's a part of the Russian government, not the US government. So the US government has no control over her.
Yeah, that's
true. Never did. So that's where the distinction lies. I put something in the share screen thing. Will we be copying any of this merch?
Whoa, is this this is official now?
DC just tweeted it out. Just dropped the Flash movie multiverse collection at DC shop. You know, it wouldn't be bad in this drop of merch. Just some Flash merch.
Yeah, it's all Batman.
So the entire left side there is Batman. Then there's nothing in just Flash. It's all Flash with something like the Batman logo with a red lightning bolt, not even a yellow one.
Do you think they're scared to just do Flash?
Well, this is the DC, but even then, there's no Supergirl. They call it the multiverse, but there is the Supergirl stuff as well. It's all Batman, Flash, and Batman. There's no just Flash or even any Supergirl stuff.
Yeah, it's weird. I do like it. I think the lightning bolt's pretty cool through the Batman logo, but I think the mugs look good. But yeah, it's weird that it's no.
I mean, I don't mind that one. That Batman like jumper there, or what it is, or sweater.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. The mugs are pretty cool though.
Yeah.
And the cap. But the t-shirt looks a bit whack. That red doesn't look very nice.
Yeah, not too sure about that one.
Anyway, all right, let's move on to the Flash posters that were released. So I'm sure some of you guys who are watching probably saw these posters that were released. These are the first character posters. Yeah, so there is the Flash, Supergirl, and Batman, obviously the main characters of the film. So yeah, we're going to be breaking these down. And once again, a reminder to you guys who are watching live with us, if you have any super chats and any questions or theories you want to bring up to me and Pagey, we'll be sure to answer them as we go through this live stream. But yeah, for now, tell us your opinions. What do you think of these posters? Let us know in the chat. What do you think about these, Pagey? Talk about the Flash one first.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like, I think it's just highlighting the thing. I mean, it catch most people's eyes, so I think it's.
I have to say the cowl looks better here than in the live action.
Yeah, it is. It pretty much is just the top. Like, you don't even get like the issue with the cowl is front on. Like from the side and stuff, it doesn't look bad. It's front on where it looks weird.
Yeah, I guess
that's the issue with it.
And obviously, they have the, the key. One of the key factors of this new Flash suit is the kind of, what do you call it? Like, the lightning bits.
The linings.
The lightnings. Anyway, it looks pretty cool.
Like the lines of lightning or whatever. You call them.
Yeah, not the actual lightning, but the lines of lightning. I think it looks pretty cool. I think they've done a good job with this poster. It definitely stands out, especially considering how bright the Flash logo is. Yeah, I mean, cool posters so far from the Flash. We got that one the other day that was just the Flash standing in the Batcave. That was nice, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, like a lot of these are just teaser posters. So these are the ones they'll just chuck in the theaters up until they release their floating head one, which is inevitable. That's coming sometime in the next couple of months.
Don't look forward to that one.
Well, yeah, so these are just the teaser ones. And these are ones that people probably buy and frame if they're going to do anything, so they keep them simple.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing is they don't put in like even the character names. Like I know you shouldn't have to put the Flash, but even there, it doesn't even say the Flash. Like the movie just has the symbol there, doesn't it?
Just Worlds Collide Flash symbol.
Yeah.
So what happens if people don't know who the Flash is?
Well, I think most people should know the Flash emblem, but it's but these are just teaser ones, so they're not really meant to show too much. It's just so they can put them on certain displays and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess so. The next poster is of Michael Keaton's Batman. He's definitely a big character in the film, so that is something that they are really trying to emphasize, as we saw with the merch. Like everything has Batman on it. Yeah, this is a nice poster. I like the color scheme. It's quite different from the Flash and Supergirl posters. Obviously, very moody, which is like pretty much just what Batman is all about. I like how bold the emblem is, just like on the Flash poster as well. Like it really stands out. What do you think about this one? Yeah,
it's just what I expected. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, it's probably what I'd expect from the Flash and Bat ones are the pretty basic ones. It's a Supergirl one, which sort of like, why they do that when they?
Yeah, so let's talk about the Supergirl one. So, what was your thing about Supergirl?
You can't tell it's Supergirl. Like what they showed Batman and Flash's logo on their front, but why not show Supergirl's? You can't tell it's Supergirl.
Yeah,
unless you've watched the trailer, you don't know that this is Supergirl.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, obviously we know it's Supergirl because we've been following this, but to the general audience or anyone that just briefly sees this, they're like, okay, worlds collide, lightning bolt symbol, not even the Flash name. Who is this character? Some lady.
Yeah, so that I don't know why they didn't show the front. That's
and
my
also
only,
it's pretty dark, so you can't really see the
the
color,
lighting there.
the
Like, even
blue
if it was
that
just, it doesn't need to be like front on, just like a bit more turn, like this way.
yeah,
Like, it was, even if it was like
just
side
like
on
a
something.
little bit of the House of Elcrest, right?
Yeah,
I agree. I felt like there was a difference between the two other ones and this one. I think it looks cool, like as a poster. But if you're trying to sell it, yeah, I agree. Maybe they should have had
yeah.
more of
But then
the
again, this one just won't just be there by itself. It'll probably be beside the Flash, Batman,
1,
and other
2,
one.
3
So
next to
yeah.
each other.
So if you didn't understand this one, you'd probably just look to the left and go, "Oh, okay."
Pagey,
That
are
would be
you
too
streaming
confusing.
Hogwarts Legacy today?
Probably. Oh, I don't know. Depends. I might be going to the movies this afternoon. So if I do, then definitely not.
Aquaman? No, Aquaman? Ant-Man. Are you seeing Ant-Man
Yeah.
today, maybe?
Yeah, the thing is either Ant-Man or that Tar movie, one of the two. Depends
Oh,
what
I've been
time.
meaning to watch Tar as well. Looks quite dramatic.
Edgy.
Yes, very edgy. All right. So yeah, those are the posters. There are some good-looking posters, but like you said, they're just character posters that they will put in the cinemas. We'll probably get some more in the future. All right, let's move on to talk about the Flash TV show. Finally, we're getting to this. I feel like this week has been dominated by the Flash film, just like since that trailer. So yeah, we have episode 2 coming out tomorrow night, just over 26 hours, I think, until it comes out. And in this episode, we have the continuation of the end of the premiere. So we have Snow, as they are now seemingly calling her. What do you think is going on with that? Have they explained? I didn't actually get to read that article, that TV Line article, properly. Did you get to read it?
It just says that when we meet her, she'll be called Snow, but that's not really who she is. That will be revealed later on.
Okay,
So I don't know exactly what that means.
Like
Whether maybe she doesn't even
temporary-
understand who she truly is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
So-
yeah, Snow will be what they call her.
Do you think it's a actual different version, like a different person entirely, or just like a mix? And they don't.
Well, it's in Caitlin's body because Caitlin was the one that went in, so it has to be. It's like on top of Caitlin's body. So I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it'll be something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think there's any chance that she's going to slowly turn into just like pretty much what Caitlin was when she started having frost in her head, right? Or do you think it's going to be one person?
No, I think it'll just be like a different personality sort of thing, but it's still that maybe just takes control of Caitlin's body. Like I think by the end of the series, Caitlin will be the one that's there.
Okay, yeah, I feel fairly confident about that as well, but yeah, I don't know. And then this episode, obviously, John Core, who is now a series regular, is going to be a bigger thing. So I guess he's going to be around for a bunch of episodes.
Well, they made him a series regular. I think it's just so they could use him when they wanted. So because there's when you're like a series regular, you pretty much can't do anything else.
Like you have to stay in Vancouver and
not stay in Vancouver. It's like they make your schedule. Like your schedule is their schedule. So I think it's just like, okay, well, we made you this. So and I think it's because this storyline's probably going to bounce back and forth. It's not going to be overly consistent. So that's probably why.
Yeah, because they have so much to go through. Like Caitlin isn't the main story. You know, you have Red Death, and then you have Caitlin as well, and everything else that's happening. Like in the synopsis, it just talks about Barry feeling guilty about Caitlin, and then, you know, Mark comes up with a plan, and pretty much everyone's like, I don't know if he's going to... Do you think he's actually going to become part of Team Flash? Because I've heard some people talking about that.
Chilblain?
Yeah. Mark.
I mean, I'd probably rather him on Team Flash than freaking Allegra and Cecile, but anyway.
And maybe Allegra this season is going to be doing more with Iris, but I guess
Depends. Like whenever they mention Iris, they say it's Barry and Iris. I'm like, but then again, whenever they mention Barry, they don't mention Iris. I'm like, well, which is it? It's all confusing.
I don't know, but I feel like this episode, the trailers weren't as interesting, of course, but like it's gonna be cool to see what's going on with Caitlin herself. And obviously Red Death, probably gonna see more Red Death. As they say in the synopsis, Red Death looms in Central City and commands that failure is an option, not an option. So you probably gonna see, do you think we're gonna see some more rogues under her control? Sorry.
Well, we know Fiddler's there, and I think Murmur's going to be in this episode. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like Murmur's in this episode.
Maybe Boomerang pops up, you know, in like a team talk.
Well, probably, yeah, something like that. I know I've got my hesitations now about this Red Death story after Eric Wallace's interview. Now I'm like, oh god, are they doing the thing I didn't want them to do?
Wait, what were you referring to?
That she's reverse Flashpoint Batwoman.
Oh yeah, that was Eric was also theorizing about that.
Well, it wasn't a theory. Eric Wallace pretty much spoiled it in an interview. He said that Red Death will have a connection to Iris.
And because they had that connection in the reverse Flashpoint. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but the thing is that Iris wouldn't have a connection there because they have not met. At least they have not met on the screen. They met in the reverse Flashpoint timeline, which is
Iris would be like, "Who the hell is this?
Yeah, who the hell are you? Like, what the hell? Yeah. You're not a Batwoman, wasn't it? Some white girl? Like, what the hell?"
So, do you think maybe Red Death approaches Iris at one point, and that's the connection?
Maybe Red Death is stalking Iris. I don't know. I'm not too sure exactly what it be because there was that thing in the trailer, one of the trailers, where there's like a hooded figure in the Central City citizen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is that Red Death in disguise?
Yeah, like that could actually happen. You know, if they have that connection. I'm presuming Eric Wallace is going to want to actually draw on that if he's talked about it in an interview, which he has.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's the thing a lot of people didn't want was because they wanted to be multiverse. But now it seems, which I guess to a degree it is, because I'm a big thing of like different timelines because they consider Flashpoint a different Earth in the comics. But it's also a different timeline.
I would call it a different timeline.
I would call it a timeline as well, but they say it's a different Earth as well. Like it can be traveled to. So I'm like, well, does that mean anything? I don't know. It's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit of a cop out as well. It seems like it's going to be rushed as well. And I think they're going to have to, and I think it's going to be bad for Iris because they're probably going to have to try and force a connection there that Iris will be like,
who are you? Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're going to have to force something there when it shouldn't be there. So I think they've taken, because the thing is, Eric Wallace is saying, oh, there was great chemistry between them. It's like, on screen there really wasn't because they had like one scene together.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I don't even remember
like when he was saying this chemistry. So I'm thinking he was talking about off screen when they were off, not on filming, and they were hanging out chatting. I'm like, that's different. That's because people can be really good friends off screen and hang out all the time, but not have good on screen chemistry. And I didn't feel that either. Like on screen, they're not just talking to each other. I felt like it wasn't like forced because like, okay, well, fair enough. They want to write that in because it's the future. They can do whatever they want.
That kind of reminds me. You remember when Supergirl met Batwoman for the first time, the Ruby Rose version?
Yeah, and they tried to
kind of push that for a long time, and it just didn't feel right.
It wasn't bad. It was just like it just feels like anyone talking to anyone else.
Yeah, it's like it's not Barry and Kara. Like they had that chemistry as friends, or like Barry and Oliver when you know they're together, and I feel like they try and push that a little bit too much, and I think that's what's Eric is doing with this. But
yeah, so I think it's Eric Wallace
being Eric Wallace.
I don't want to say being an idiot, but just I think like talking out of his ass.
Okay,
probably because there is no chemistry there, at least from what we saw on screen.
Because there was like
it might be well, yeah, because if it's off screen, then fair enough, but we don't see that. Like we don't know what they were talking about and what they were doing off screen and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the thing. I think he's based something really small that no one really noticed, if anyone noticed, and then making it almost like a plot point.
Yeah.
Now I know there's people that said like, you know, Batwoman shouldn't be Red Death, which I don't really agree with because I'm like, in the context of the Arrowverse, it makes sense. But at the same time, I think you could have done this in a way more interesting way. If it is reverse Flashpoint Batwoman, then I think it's a bit of an L.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a bit of an L.
I think so too. When I first started hearing that, I was like, not sure about that as well.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a synopsis for episode 3. which I want to talk about first before we get to episode 4, sorry, because they just released that. You talked about this before, right? Or
is this the episode? Well, the episode 3 one. Yeah.
So Barry and Iris start to put together the pieces of what's happening in Central City and believe they know what the Rogues are after. So also what Red Death is after. Team Flash works together and recruits some unlikely allies to help. So is this the Goldface episode?
I'm not too sure. I'd assume so, but at the same time, I'm not 100% sure either.
Because the unlikely allies, I suppose, are people that used to be villains. And you see in the first trailer that you have Goldface, the Hotness, and Pied Piper and everything, like teaming up, well, with Barry. So I presume those are the unlikely allies. I don't know the exact episode, so I can't say for certain, but that's what I would presume. Also, they mentioned Allegra does her best to avoid having a conversation with Chester. What is this conversation?
Oh, goodness me.
More Chegra
One
content.
that I'm probably not going to focus too much on when it airs in the episode. That'll probably be like the bathroom break scene. If you didn't go during the ad, go during this scene.
Yeah, maybe you can get tipped off by someone that sees the episode. Yeah, so this episode seems like an interesting one. You said the other day that you think episode 5 is going to be under the graphic novel, so this is like kind of in the middle. So we're going to be seeing properly what the Rogues and Red Death are after. And yeah, I guess that's where we'll get into the whole, in that first trailer they released, Barry mentioned that this new speedster is trying to create a time machine, right? This is probably sometime around here.
Well, like it wasn't confirmed at that point, but once you saw the episode 1 and what Captain Boomerang was getting, like
the tachyons, yeah. And what do you think she's actually up to? Like, do you think she can't time travel? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't be too surprised if she got displaced.
Mm-hmm.
Or something along those lines, and this is a way to sort of reinstate the Flashpoint timeline, or the reverse Flashpoint timeline.
So it's not a time machine, or it is a time machine?
Well, it is a time machine, but it's able to travel that because hopping timelines, like how do you hop to a designated timeline?
Yeah, so she's trying to be more specific, right?
She's trying to get like a specific timeline that she's trying to hop to, something like that.
Yeah. Because she's stuck. Yeah. No, I get that. That's probably
like, I think the best way to put it is this is almost like it's like a weird combination of like a Savitar evil Batwoman sort of weird thing like that.
Yeah.
But then like reverse Flash mix at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know how, as I said, like I was sort of excited going into it, but now the more and more I think about it and hear about it, the more I get worried that it's not going to be very good.
Yeah.
I'm still excited to see what they do with Red Death. I just think the conclusion might be a bit arse.
And I feel like, to be honest, that's been a little bit of what Eric Wallace has been doing over the last.
I think he'll take something from the comics and being like, okay, I can do this. And he either takes a really bad storyline or something that can be interesting, but with the interesting storyline, he just puts like a weird twist in there that wasn't necessary. Like the twist isn't Batwoman. In the context of the Arrowverse, that makes sense. The twist is what he's doing there, which I don't think is going to work. Or everyone's sort of going to like, I don't know if that roll their eyes is the word to use or the words to use, but like just sort of be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at you have to look at Godspeed. Like that was pretty much throwaway. I really think, he was cool when we saw Godspeed, but like the whole ending was just like very disappointing. Yeah. And I just think overall the villains, yes, Bloodwork's good and a couple of villains are good, but then he does have a lot of, like the Forces or Godspeed.
Well, the Forces are bad in the comics as well. The Forces aren't interesting in the comics either.
That's true.
Like that was the thing. I knew that when I saw the Force thing from set photos, like, why do this? This isn't going to be good. Unless he twisted it, but he didn't. He just sort of like, he put a twist on it, but a worse twist. So he made the Forces, which were already weren't very good in the comics, even worse in the show. But that's because he tried to connect it to this like Barry and Iris central thing. Like I do wonder if like the online pressure that gets there for Eric Wallace with the West Allen stuff, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that he tries to connect there where he doesn't even end up appeasing the West Allen side. He ends up just annoying them. even more. But then he also completely ruins a storyline because it tries to like overly connect it. And at that point, you're actually disservicing the Iris character because you're taking away from the journalist side of things. So,
so you're thinking it was actually better like in the early seasons, because I'm fairly sure the showrunners weren't looking.
The early showrunners knew what they were doing with Iris at the beginning, but then once they sort of rushed Iris into a relationship with Barry and like into like marriage, by the way, like lovey-dovey, like always by each other's side, that's when Iris started to fall by the wayside. She just doesn't even end up being a character at that point. She's just Barry's girlfriend.
Yeah, so they kind of lost the way with Iris, and then now, obviously, like you said before, maybe.
But now it's at that point because they did so much stuff with them together. Now there's like they don't know how to actually give them their own storylines.
Yeah, like what, you know, for example, in Superman Lois, I feel this comparison happened a lot. You know, like Lois has her own stories, and they're actually good, and Superman has his own stories, but then they find a way to connect them.
So either connect at the end or crossroads at one point and then connect again later on. But with Iris and Barry, it's either they're on completely separate paths, or one or the other is attached to the other person's hip. There's no crossroads or anything like that. The only time there was ever a potential crossroads was in season 6 with the Mirror Master stuff, and it quickly went away when Iris went into the Mirrorverse.
Yeah,
and then it all became separate again.
And then Iris got lost in the Mirrorverse, and then
so it's like that tiny crossover when they were both inspecting like the black hole stuff and the mystery around that. But then Iris gets like trapped in the Mirrorverse for way too long, and and then that angered people. Like Iris was probably really strong in that beginning of season 6. Like at the beginning of season 6, which is Eric's first season, was probably the best Iris has been. Yeah, in regards to consistency at the very least.
And I feel like every season, fans get really excited. They're like, "Oh, this is the best Iris we've seen," and then later in the season,
or even not even later in the season, like a month later, they're going, "Oh, what the hell's happened?"
Like 3 episodes, 2 episodes later, you're like.
But I've always said that it's the struggle when you have someone in the comics who isn't that big of a character in comparison to what the show is. Like if you read a Flash comic book, you can get an entire volume where Iris is not even in it. She'll be referenced, but Barry's off doing something else for an entire volume. But then there's one where she's like a supporting character throughout the entire thing. Like she's really important to the storyline, or like a really like, contributing factor to the storyline. So that's the issue when you're doing a show and you want to adapt those storylines for the comics. And then like, well, what do we do with Iris? And there's only so much journalist stuff you can do, and only so much stuff that happens in the city that can relate to the journalism stuff. So it's this really struggling balance. But
it's a, I don't know. We'll see if they get it right. All right, we have the synopsis for episode 4 that was recently released, titled "The Mask of the Red Death, Part 1." So Part 4, obviously. Part 1 is episode 4, and episode 5 is "The Mask of the Red Death, Part 2." So we got a 2-part final episode to this graphic novel of Red Death, and the Mask of the Red Death is a reference to the film. What's it called? The Mask of the Red...
The Plague, isn't it?
Yeah, Plague or something.
Oh, anyway. No, I think it's Mask of the Red Death. I think it's actually that's what it's called. But it's about a plague. I think.
It's actually it's an Edgar Allan Poe film. Book, sorry.
Book, it's like a story, and it's about all these rich people that go into a house to escape the plague, but the plague haunts them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's just a reference. They always do that with the titles. Probably not much we can read into that. But Let There Be Darkness, The Flash. I've actually not read this, so I'm going to read it out. The Flash is forced to make an impossible choice. With the power out in Central City, Team Flash calls upon the Rogue Squad to help as Iris is visited by an old friend. Joe and Cecile work on finding a balance. Okay, so that pretty much confirms Joe probably is moving out as Cecile.
You didn't read the next bit.
Wait, what bit? What bit?
After finding a balance.
Posted on Flash TV News.
Stop screen grabbing articles.
Oh my god. Anyway, link in the description below.
Cancelled. Ben cancelled.
Lol. So yeah, what do you think is going on in this first part of the finale?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell, like until you see like episode 3 probably, so it's probably a blind guess. I have no idea, but I guess that Let There Be Darkness makes sense if the power is out in the city. But I think the power's out because maybe Red Death is absorbing all the power to power the time travel machine or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
I mean, we know what the Rogue Squad is. The only thing I don't know is who the old friend that's visiting Iris. Everyone thinks it's Sue, which I hope it isn't.
Well, it's probably not Nia because they've never met, even though we know their story later.
And Sue to me doesn't sound like an old friend, but they'll probably just say it's an old friend. I mean, they've known each other for like 2 years.
Yeah, I feel like it could be Sue if we.
The only other person I can think of is that it's Linda Park, but I don't know if it will be. I mean, Iris doesn't really have any friends on the show. That's the biggest issue. Like, I don't think she has any friends. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. The only person I can think of is Linda Park. But even then, like, were they really friends or just co-workers?
Yeah. Not sure. And what's the impossible choice that Barry has to make? I don't know.
I don't know. It might. I don't know. Not 100% sure. It could be like even like he has to time travel. Maybe he has to time travel to reverse Flashpoint, or time travel to see some sort of what happened and why things are happening.
Yeah, maybe you have to chase after Red Death at one point. You know, as she tries to enact her plans or whatever. Yeah. Maybe
Kang. She's never met Ryan.
Yeah, our version of Iris has never met Ryan before. They were different versions of the characters from the reverse Flashpoint timeline.
Like, we're led to believe they meet in the near future. I guess this season, because Batwoman's meant to be in this season. So they probably meet then.
Yeah, Batwoman up. So
even if they have met, it wouldn't be an old friend.
No, yeah.
Batwoman was only cancelled last year. It could be off screen, but have they ever been mentioned in the present day? If they were that much of a friend, they would have been mentioned.
Yeah.
So if it is Ryan, it makes 0 sense. But then again, I think it makes 0 sense with anyone, except for Linda Park, because Iris doesn't have any friends that we've met.
I think Sue half makes sense if they.
Yeah, but that Sue makes sense if it said friend, but it says old friend. So I'm like, is Sue an old friend? They've only known each other for like what, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but maybe for Iris, 1 year is a lot.
Well, I guess like 2 weeks might be an old friend, considering that we've really not seen anything. Like, I don't even know who Iris invited to the wedding. They were all Barry's mates.
They were, weren't they?
They're all Barry's friends. Even Linda Park didn't come to the wedding.
Oh my god, she literally had no one apart from her dad,
family, like Joe and Wally and stuff.
But anyway, yeah. So that is the synopsis for the second to last episode of the Red Death story.
The only thing that's interesting there is that it says that Joe is in this episode as well. So he's in 3 of the opening 4 episodes. So he's only meant to be in 5 episodes this season.
After that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't expect loads of Joe after these 3 because he's doing 3 in a row.
And you'd think he'd be in the finale, the series finale.
Oh, definitely. Surely. Also, I wanted to ask you, because you're a Cisco fan, do you actually think he's coming back?
I think Cisco's one of the more likely ones. If you're going to rank people, you'd probably say Cisco to be in the
top
I
know.
3.
I would say he's like number 1 or 2, but there's been no announcements. And I know he's in New York.
Well, I told you the thing, like, where it sounds that apparently they're struggling to balance all the things.
What do you mean things?
Like, there's schedules that they have to balance for the finale for guest people, because it'd only be guest people. It wouldn't be people on the show. Because as I said before, with like Chillblaine, the show's schedule is the regular schedules. Like, they don't have to balance Grant Gustin's schedule because his schedule is the show's schedule when they needed to film. So it'd be like
are they actually struggling? Like, did you hear that?
Well, yeah, I heard that they were struggling to. They don't know how they were going to fit everyone in regards to like the filming side of things. And they were struggling to organize people that were doing stuff, and they have to balance someone's schedule if they're doing something else. So I think it might be someone like Jordan Fisher potentially, who's on Broadway. I know you might absolutely poo yourself, but even Melissa Benoist.
No way, she's in New York.
Honestly,
in New York.
Exactly. That's what, but they're about to wrap filming for that show.
Yeah, they are.
I think it actually finishes this week or something, or early next week.
Yeah, they've been filming for a while.
And it's a Berlanti show.
It is, yeah. It's HBO Max Berlanti show.
So you get ready for Ben's videos on.
My God. If that actually happens, I will lose it. I will lose it, guys. You're not gonna want to miss out on my Flash season series finale review. If that turns out.
And the 43 theory videos leading up to it. How will Supergirl show up in the Finale,
Yeah.
part 1.
Stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. They actually released some photos for this episode. None of them are of Barry, actually.
They're all pretty basic. I've noticed after the first episode, all the photos have been like really crap.
There's only 4 they keep on releasing.
Yeah. And that's not even, I think that's Iris literally looking at the new building in Coast City for Central
you see
Citizen Media.
building map here.
Yeah. Like they make it look ominous, but I'm pretty sure it's just building plans.
Maybe she's just like, oh, how is this gonna happen? Yeah, so nothing too much there. We have Allegra with Martin Luther King
in her super suit.
In her super suit, and
Chester, like bargain bin from Cotton On or whatever it is.
From the thrift shop, or whatever. Yeah. Then the next photo we have Snow, as they call her, and Chester and Allegra, Chegra. Nothing much here apart from obviously Snow's here.
I think because I thought that she was going to look like a bit of like a hipster based off because like all elemental like hippie, and that sort of outfit lines up with it. But then again, Frost sometimes dressed like sort of hippie.
Oh, Frost was like borderline hippie. So
I thought Frost was more like edgy.
Yeah, kind of like rebellious,
like Ben,
I guess. Yeah, just like me. All right, next photo and last photo, just another angle of Chester. Nothing much that we can say. He's just on a computer.
No. As I say, like for episodes 2, 3, and 4, the photos have been like pretty crap. They've just not been trying not to spoil it at all. And then they said I'm assuming because episode 1 they released like 7 extra photos after the episode. I'm like, why would you? Like, I mean, the only one that was sort of a spoiler was the Snow look.
Yeah, they just released them.
I'm assuming that for episode 2 they'll release a bunch of photos after the episode airs.
That's stupid. I don't know. I would. They used to, or they normally release like 8 photos or something.
It's anywhere from like 6 to sometimes like 12. Like they sometimes release heaps. Like it depends.
Yeah, sometimes I remember like making videos and you kind of like exclude a few boring ones or something, you know.
Yeah, but now it's like it's not even worth going over them. Like the episode 1s were half decent, but the 2, 3, and 4 ones have now been pretty crap.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, not too much to go over in regards to those, but obviously the synopsis is interesting in those episodes. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for this live stream. Thank you to all of you who have been watching throughout. Obviously, go check out my recent videos. I talked about the Flash film. Also, check out Pagey's channel. I'm sure you're all subscribed already. Yeah, I guess more Flash content coming. Flash is out tomorrow night, episode 2. So both going to have reviews out ASAP, I would presume. And so, yeah, that pretty much does it for this live stream. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Goodbye.